Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Game 3 of 5 coming at you live here on Beyond the Summit. Starladder Season 8, Day 27 coverage continues. I am Zyori. With me once again is Hippie. And we've got RX versus SSD coming up here. Now, normally, I wouldn't be too excited for this because SSD, as many of you have astutely pointed out in Twitch chat, is no longer a team. They have disbanded, and they are now just finishing out their round robin in Starladder. Good guys, SSD. Their stand-ins, though, worth noting here, Hippie. We've got Pili Die, the Beaver Knight, and Bone 7. And for those of you less privy to that Beaver action, that, of course, is Sing Sing himself. Going to be an interesting matchup. A turn of events that I can say that I was not expecting, my friend.
Are they really SSD if 3 out of their 5 players are speed gaming? Aren't they speed gaming with SSD stand-ins at this point? I don't even know.
Speed dinosaurs. You're actually right. There's more speed than SSD here. Now, I know some of you are asking yourselves right now, how could this possibly be fair? How could these Starladder admins in their right minds, for all things that are sacred, allow these speed gaming members to play in a stand-in fashion like this? They asked RX if they were okay with it, and Relax said, sure, you're doing fine. Let them play. Pick them up. Right? So RX, good guys RX, they're obviously out of the top 4. They've got nothing to lose, so they say, why not? The more the merrier. Let's have some fun. So we can at least do a little golf clap applaud to RX. They are eager for an interesting game here. So very exciting. Now, ironically enough, SSD still in a potential running for the top 4. And I don't know what's going to happen if they actually make it. I think servers will implode. Sparky the Wonder Hamster will kill over from a heart attack, and everything will go into disarray. I believe even if they make it into the top 4, they are still not going to be allowed to play, and it'll just go to the 5th slot. But they are 9-4 right now, so technically speaking, there is still a chance if they win their next 3 games, including this one. But I'm excited, Hippie. How will this speed dinosaur hybrid work out? I think it'll be exciting to see the aftermath of this match.
It'll certainly be interesting to check out. I think what I like about this the most is it's just going to be pure fun. I mean, SSD, even if they win, as you mentioned, I don't think they're allowed to go onto the LAN stage. And Relax is out of contentions. These teams are just going to have a blast against each other. They're playing for some pride, of course, but mostly playing to have a good damn time.
Yeah. You're absolutely right about that, and a good time will be had. And everything looking pretty straightforward so far. We are going to see an Alchemist here. He was first banned in the last 2 games we saw, so finally going to get to see some Alchemist action. As we've been going back to, he's been the pick of the month, as teams have realized his power, the immense damage of that unstable concoction. His versatility, oh, he's just so wonderful. But they are going to grab an Invoker, so 2 actually interesting heroes from RX that I'm excited to see. I'm never disappointed to see Invoker, man.
I'd just like to point out that if you cold snap someone, start Forge Spirit stunning them while Alchemist charges up his concoction, and they have like a -4 armor by the time he throws it, it's pretty brutal. Pretty darn brutal. But yeah, I mean, Alchemist, very, very strong hero. I think it was Gods made a Reddit post saying he thought Unstable Concoction is one of the, if not the strongest skills in the game right now. Mm-hmm. And I would not disagree with that at all. I think it definitely needs to be changed to be in parity with Dota 1 where it can explode midair.
Yeah, and some of it has to do with just the ease of charging up a concoction and then throwing down an acid spray. So most of the time you're going to connect with a concoction, or at least a good portion of the time you can throw down the acid spray so there's armor reduction, so it does even more damage, because of course the concoction is physical. So it's dirty, man. It gets dirty real quick. I am definitely in agreement with that. And as we've gone back to, it's one of few abilities now that is not disjointable. It will fly all the way across the map if you scoot away. So it will chase you down, and that's one of many facets of the Alchemist that are scary. Timbersaw CM for SSD, though, pretty straightforward opener. Bristleback still not banned out. That is one thing that's interesting about this draft. Perhaps SSD grabbing a Timbersaw and the thought that Bristleback may be picked up. But we'll see if a team wants to scoop him up. Really strange to see him make it through both banning phases into what could be 3rd pick material.
Yeah, you got to be expecting that SSD/Speed is thinking pretty hard about picking this one up.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the CM who combos very nicely with the Bristleback. You know, slow people in the early game, get the freeze, get him that extra mana from the aura so he can spam his quills a little bit more. They have it available to them. It's not like there's anything that super duper hard counters him. And they've got the space available. So I would think it would be a good pickup. Then again, maybe they just don't feel like it. Maybe they don't want to put it in one position. Maybe they don't. Bone 7 doesn't love it. I don't know. You can
We're
never
just
tell
not feeling some
sometimes.
bristleback. I'm not feeling it this game. I know he's really good, but I'm just, sometimes I'm just not in the mood for quills. I guess they could be
Quills
thinking
hurt, man.
something like that.
You ever had quills in your face? It's not fun.
It's not fun, but
It's painful.
he could be a nice... I mean, right now RX are off to a good start with this draft. If they grab the bristleback with their third pick, that could be pretty scary. You've already got a nice bit of minus armor synergy between the Alchemist and the Invoker with those Forged Spirits. Then you've got bristleback on top of that with all the physical damage. Grab maybe a nice Dazzle to mix in. That's a pretty scary minus armor team. Could tri-lane with the Invoker, put Shadow Fiend mid. That could be fun.
Did you just say tri-lane with the Invoker?
Yeah, not really tri-lane, but they could put him in a solo safe lane with some supports nearby. The pseudo
I was
tri-lane.
gonna say.
Well, we've seen the Invoker tri-lane a couple of times, but it's not really a tri-lane. Every time it happens, it ends up being solo Invoker in the lane, and then his supports move around in the jungle and just move into the lane to gank him. It's not really a true tri-lane by most definitions, but a tri-lane-ish safe lane Invoker. You know what I'm talking about, man. Invoker when he doesn't go mid, the only other place you can put him,
Some place where he's still getting solo experience.
Yeah, exactly. I do like Invoker, though. Always a fun hero. Lifestealer are going to be the third pick for SSD. So far, pretty standard. Nice delivery vehicle in that Timber Saw. They could grab themselves a puck for a super standard draft here. I was hoping for something maybe a little more spicy, but we'll see.
Maybe they just want to be done with the game. They're like, yeah, we don't really want to play this, but
Let's
we
just
will.
take a win here. Yeah, we gave into
Yeah,
peer
come on.
pressure. Let's play this standard, guys. No messing around. Lots on the line. All right, Clockwork going to be picked up by RX. I feel like I haven't seen Clockwork enough recently. He's been falling off a little bit as a first ban, first pick, right after 6.79 and 6.79C as well. Clockwork was that go-to. And he's still picked up a fair bit, but not quite as much. And glad to see him mixed in here. Going to give RX a solid bit of initiation. And does make things a little bit easier for that Alchemist. Keep them stuck in the Kongs. If you catch two of them in there, that makes for a pretty easy concoction double stun. So I like the little bit of synergy they've got going on.
Cogs into Sunstrike, pretty useful as well.
Yeah,
in the early
yeah.
game, if you can just get a quick cog on a single hero.
For sure. For sure. They could still grab the Bristleback as well. It depends how they want to lane this. Could be that off-lane Clockwork, Invoker in the mid, and then do a position 1 tri-lane around the Bristleback with the support Alchemist. Though it could also be that position 1 Alchemist. Still hard to say what RX want to grab with their final picks. But right on the money with that puck for SSD.
Yes, you were.
Very standard draft here. I'm really surprised. I wasn't expecting something crazy, but this is just about as standard as it gets for very well-rounded heroes that we see a lot that truly need no introduction.
Well, I mean, it's...
And we see them a lot for good reason.
SSD... Well, yeah, I mean, you see them a lot for good reason. SSD obviously isn't coming into this to screw around. They're coming into it to win, which is, not a bad thing at all. I think Sing Sing is well known for, in competition, being one of the most try-hard players. Same with Eternal Envy. It's, I think, one of the reasons they get along so well on their team. And so, well, no, just in general, they take the game very, very seriously. They don't screw around even in, silly matches. They'll screw around in pubs.
You've watched Sing Sing stream, right?
I've watched Sing Sing stream.
I know, you are right, though.
Who has watched Sing Sing stream? But, what he does when he streams, to my understanding, I could be way off the mark, but to my understanding, is very, very different from how he is when he's playing any sort of match.
100%. That's the case. It's a complete just funsies act. Last time I saw Sing Sing stream, he went phase boots and crit on Outworld Devourer. That one was a little bit interesting. Didn't work out so well in the end, but he likes to have some fun.
Hey, man, it works.
Yeah, it works.
He does whatever he feels like.
Yeah.
1850 MMR, newbie perspective, no flames, please. Defensive legends.
Oh, boy. So Enigma, the fourth pick for RX, an interesting choice. And there was a while where we didn't see Enigma, and I was always like, what happened to Enigma? He's really fallen off, and I really understand why Enigma has fallen off. One, the counter is just good positioning. Stay spread out, make those black holes difficult to land, and you've already done a lot in an effort to try and counter Enigma. But the bigger problem is just the laning phase. You really have to have like super solid laners to pull off the Enigma in the jungle, because he sort of can rotate into the lane to help, but it just makes your lanes so rigid. If one of them starts going poorly, if your offlaner gets zoned out, there's no rotation that you can pull. Your offlaner just has to stand there and try not to die, or maybe share some of the farm with Enigma. Same with that duo lane. If you have an aggressive try coming into your duo with Enigma in the jungle, it's just a disaster. We saw it earlier today in that rox.kis game. Enigma can still work. It's not a bad pick. It just makes that laning phase that much more difficult. And it seems, at least the past maybe 5 or 6 games, I've seen Enigma picked up in Starladder Season 8 round robin. I would say a good 3 or 4 of them have just been a complete disaster out of the gate, because the lanes just completely fail with Enigma as a dedicated jungler. So I always get a little nervous now when I see that Enigma picked up. But we'll see how RX want to work it here. Very curious what this final pick is going to be. But interestingly enough, Disruptor, final pick for SSD.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hero that works nicely with the puck. The Lifestealer prevents people from getting kited around, brings people back for the Lifestealer to hit. Of course, with the Timbersaw, the CM, it's a very AoE-heavy lineup in general, so if you can land a good kinetic field, even on just like 2 heroes maybe, dump your AoE in there, free kills, basically, and then Lifestealer, of course, can just chew them up while they can't get away. I mean, of course, there's heroes who could probably do what he does about the same or better, but he's fun. He fits the particular lineup. They have a puck for that kind of control. Queen of Pain to go with the Enigma. That'll be fun. But I think in general that the relaxed team is one that's going to be pretty messed with by silences, and that was probably one of the reasons they wanted that Static Storm available. The Enigma, the Clockwork, the Invoker, these are all heroes you absolutely don't want to get silenced. The Glimpse, I mean, glimpsing the Clockwork away from people, glimpsing the Alchemist if he's trying to chase with a stun. It's a very, very useful ability, especially before people get BKBs, and that's a lineup on traditionally you'd be skipping BKB on several of those heroes, and they're now going to be forced to go it to prevent the Disruptor from messing with them too much.
Yeah, that's definitely right. I do like the Disruptor final pick here. It's different, and I think he fits in really well. That's another hero. Speaking of heroes that I'm a fan of, Disruptor is one that I really like the skill set that he brings to the table. He's so unique, and he has like so much potential for really awesome big plays. He makes pushing more fun, because if they come in, you just glimpse them back to the base. All sorts of cool stuff. We don't see enough Disruptor, and I'm excited. Could this be an Ag Scepter Disruptor game? I still remember that conversation we had on the morning show about Ag Scepter and why it seems so amazing with Static Storm, but farm priority for
Disruptor.
Disruptor.
Seems so good, but you never see it anyway because he should never really get that much gold. Yeah, I mean, that is exactly what it is.
Poor guy. If I'm remembering correctly, it makes his ultimate not only silence, but prevent you from using items, right?
Yes.
So you like, it's a counter to BKB. If you get stuck in that, you can't BKB out of it, and you get demolished. So it's spicy. It does add an interesting flavor, but unfortunately, it's an expensive spice.
Yeah, and there's just generally more useful things. More useful things you can be spending that 4K on a lot of the time. I mean, for one thing, that's twice as much as you need to get a Force Staff, and Force Staff is still probably the best item in the damn game.
Yeah. So a couple of DCs here. Looks like Rise and Come With Me may be on the same connection. They are going to do a quick reset here. Give the old router the 1-2 left-right, and maybe come back lag-free. Fingers crossed. I'm just excited. I haven't seen Speed in a while. My sleep schedule, having to do Starladder, I don't really get to watch a lot of Asian Dota, and of course Speed has been in China for a while, so I'm excited. I feel like I'm having some Speed withdrawal. I got so excited at MLG Columbus seeing Speed take a victory, being able to meet Sing Sing in person, and then they just disappeared off my radar. Sad times were had.
I mean, you knew it was coming.
Yeah,
you knew they were going to have to go.
Can't say it was a surprise, but.
So, what do you think? Which lineup do you like better? I think I have some thoughts on both of them. But what do you think? Who do you think has the outdraft here?
That is an interesting question. And let's see, how are they going to lane this? Will this be Invoker mid? It looks like it is Tame My Wild on Invoker. So, given that they're going to do that, I think it's pretty even. Actually, I like the drafts from both sides. but with the I give a small edge to SSD, and I might be a little biased here. I'm trying to break out of my own bias bubble because obviously I am a speed gaming fan. But I think their draft is a little bit more just well-rounded and solid. I think it's easier to execute, which is the big thing. RX have a little bit more potential, I think. If they get a big black hole, some meteors on top of it, and then you've got Alchemist, and oh man, that big sonic wave. But that's hard to execute. SSD are going to have to be in sort of a bad position for that huge wombo combo to get pulled off. And I think there's a little bit more potential for SSD to play this pretty normal, just be straightforward, and eventually this Life Stealer will start to overtake them a bit, as this will be a support Alchemist here being played by Dread. So I think the RX team has a little bit more power, but I worry that execution may be a bit difficult. And then the point that I went back to with Enigma in the jungle, I worry that the laning phase may not really go in their favor the way that they would like. So I guess I give a small edge to SSD here.
All right, yeah, I can get behind that. I think the key point that you made is the ease of execution one.
Yeah.
I think there are definitely several good ways for Relax to land some good AoE. They have the Clockwork cogs that they can try to use for setup. They have the Enigma Black Hole that they can try to catch people with. They have the Tornado if the Invoker goes Quas Wex, or when he gets a few levels in Quas later in the game, or a few levels in Wex as well. So there's a lot of good little setups, but oh, Tame My Wild. He's going to see him coming. Is he going to get away?
Uh-oh. What does he have here? We've got Thunder Strike, so no kinetic field. I thought there may be an opportunity. Good positioning from Tame My Wild on the high ground. Does scout it out just in the nick of time. So it looks like Speed are going to make the life of Enigma difficult here. They will block the hard camp. They're going to block this camp here, a medium. And, oh, yeah, that's going to be another block. That's a triple block here coming out the way of Enigma. That is very unfortunate. His life going to be very difficult. And again, this is another problem. I mean, yeah, he can counter these, but he's going to have a slow start. The only other option is for Enigma to move into enemy territory. But that is a gamble I'm not sure worth taking.
Yeah, not only do they block off the available experience in terms of just total experience, but if he stays in his own jungle, he's forced into the more vulnerable position over by the actual lane. He can't just kind of sit deep in the jungle and not be threatened a lot of the time. So just with maybe, I mean, they're not going to have any wards available to watch for him, unfortunately, for SSD, but just a little poke into the jungle from the Timbersaw might be well rewarded if he's got a couple of extra levels. He finds an easy Enigma kill.
Yeah, and also Speed, they do have a ward down here on the high ground, so if Enigma tries to rotate, he would probably smoke if he was going to do it, but still they do have some coverage into their main access point if a rotation comes to try and make his life a little bit more difficult here. They're going to get that first glimpse of this empty jungle, and I'm sure KSI is making a very sour face right now. Like, son of a bitch, they blocked my spawns. As a jungler, I think there's very few things more frustrating than that. It's happened to me a few times in pub games, and I just have that moment of, oh, why did I pick this damn hero? But he is going to make the rotation, and he is going to smoke up. So this is the pretty predictable rotation. You're going to walk right on top of that ward, but I think they smoked far enough back that it should be just fine. And he is going to walk down with Dread, so it looks like they are going to support this Clockwork a little bit down here in the bottom. They will pull a rotation. KSI going to be able to use
kill Pile I Die.
The first bit of mana here. Dread going to come in. He is going to charge that concoction. Oh no, Pile I Die is in big trouble. There's the concoction. There's the cogs. That's an easy first blood. Shotchlo going to grab that last hit as the Clockwork. So this rotation already worth it. Well done by SSD, and I'm a little bit surprised that, I mean, that was a pretty sneaky route from RX with the smoke, but you have to think that they should expect that a little bit. I mean, there aren't really too many other places Enigma could go, and with the Alchemist missing, probably could have played that a little more defensively, but still, Enigma having a slow start.
I just don't think they expected him to wait for the smoke before he moved in. I mean, you said it was going to come, and you were completely right, but I don't think they accounted for the idea of, oh, maybe they'll do, you know, a minute one smoke gank, because it's just so unusual. Right. There's so many situations where you would ignore the possibility of it happening because it's just not feasible, but because they not only could get the kill, but they also needed to move the Enigma through dangerous territory, it became a lot more viable.
Right, right. So, will cost them a little bit. Not the end of the world, but still, this is going to be the first kill going the way of RX. Dread going to grab himself an Illusion Rune down here at the 2-minute mark. It will deny it from the mid. But one of the scariest portions of this match that we talked about is Life Stealer, and Sing Sing is off to the races here already, 13-7 doing very, very well. And his counterpart, the Queen of Pain up top, is sitting 11 and 5 at the moment. So they're fairly comparable with one another, but Lifestealer will definitely be a force to be reckoned with here in this match. In the mid lane, let's see, it is Puck versus the Invoker. And it looks like Puck getting slightly better of it, but not too crazy. 10 and 8 on the Invoker. A lot of denies to this 12 and 1 Puck. So a pretty even exchange back and forth. Tame My Wild grabbing those Exort points. Forge Spirit, Sunstrike right now. His repertoire of skills, pretty standard opening there on the Invoker. And we see Pylai Dai just moving about the Radiant jungle. Of course, he knows that Dread and KSI are in here, and he wants to keep tabs on it. I like what RX are doing, though. You wouldn't really expect the shared farm between the Alchemist and the Enigma, but I think it's the right call here. With Alchemist nearby, it's going to make it difficult to gank the Enigma, and if Pylai Dai pokes too far forward, they can certainly turn around on him, and they'll be sharing experience. So I think this is an unorthodox call, but the right one here for RX based on the start for Enigma.
You know, also, if they know he's right there, the amount of pressure that's put on a Rise, he has to be much, much more careful about using his Illusory Orb, about using his Phase Shift when he really doesn't really need it. Because say he burns an Orb, and they're just kind of hanging out right there farming a medium camp. Oh, Pylai Dai is so done.
Uh-oh, he is going to glimpse back the Clockwork, but yeah, he is in big trouble trying to find some fog.
Might get himself killed by Roche.
Nope, not going to happen. Sunstrike going to finish him off. So RX going to be off to a good start here, 2-0. Unfortunately, Pylai Dai going to take both spills. He will start 0-2-0 on this Disruptor, but yeah, nowhere for him to go. We saw a very aggressive bit of posturing here. He was like in the trees behind this tower looking to set up a gank, and that aggressive position is going to cost him.
Well, it's so risky to go up that far on Disruptor, especially when you don't have a point in Kinetic Field. I mean, I get that you have the Glimpse, but that's for one hero. You don't have any stuns just as part of the hero. Is Pylai Dai going to die again? Uh-oh. No, maybe not. Oh, they got the stun off.
Concoction, Malfist, there's the Acid Spray. A few more auto attacks ought to do it. KSI trying to position for a couple of right clicks, not going to find it. Now Arise going to come in. He'll have a Haste Rune on, and they may try and turn this around. He doesn't care so much about that Acid Spray. He will just stand in it, and he's going to chip away at Dread. Dread recognizing that he is destined to fall, just going to try and pull the forces away from the Enigma. Down he goes, but now Enigma going to get engaged on. Come with me, going to intercept him, and will use his bout of crowd control to try and slow him down. Uh-oh, Sunstrike going to fly. That'll be the end of the Disruptor. Crystal Maiden will finish off the Enigma, though. That is going to make it a 2-for-1. Shotchlow now going to come in. Does have level 2 Battery Assault here at level 4, but Arise going to be able to juke most of the damage. Will throw out an Unstable Concoction, and that is going to be a dead Clockwork. Now Invoker going to join the party, though. He's got a Forge Spirit with him. Cold Snap going to be enough. Down goes the Puck. It's a massacre here in the Radiant Jungle, but SSD still get the better of it. They make it a 2-for-3. Unfortunately, it will cost them their mid-Fairy Dragon.
Yeah, and that does, however, put the Invoker at 3-0. So he's 3-0 with 21 last hits, so he is now level 7 and almost 7.5 at barely 5.5 minutes. He's doing very, very well. He's at 1950. I'm expecting he's going to be rushing a Midas. So we're going to have a very fast mid-Midas Exort Voker, and that can put a whole lot of pressure on, especially for a lineup that is relying a lot kind of on evasiveness for a lot of these heroes to get things done. There's a lot of burst damage that can come out of that Invoker, and Magical Burst to help bring down the Timbersaw. It'll bring down the Puck very quickly if he gets caught. The Disruptor, the CM could really be food if he just gets a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's his Midas. Done.
I actually missed that Timbersaw kill up top. I'm kind of curious as to what happened. I was having a sip of my water, and of course the kill comes out while my hand's off the mouse.
I'm going to gamble that she just got caught. Level 1 Blink has a high cooldown against level 4 Timber Chain. You know who's more mobile.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. That's, 12-second cooldown versus the 4-second cooldown. It's going to be difficult for that Quap to get away. So you're absolutely right, though. This Invoker is off to the races, and he is in really good shape. We've come back to this point many a time, but the Hand of Midas core on Invoker, not just because of the gold farm, but because of that experience boost you get, the 2.5x experience. He is the only hero that truly benefits from every level, even up into those tippy tops. But down bottom, Shotchlow in a little bit of trouble. Sing Sing going to try and grab a solo kill. He will infest into a creep, and that is one dead Clockwork. Sing Sing going to walk away with a solo kill, but uh-oh! Ooh, gonna be able to make it out, but that was a close call. He took a stun. That Sunstrike may have been enough to finish him off. He was pretty darn low. Would have been a close call either way, but just barely gonna escape. So even though Invoker doing very well, this Lifestealer is a force already. Timbersaw going to grab another kill on that Queen of Pain as Arise moves up to the top lane. Enigma has now rotated into the Dire jungle, so things going to settle down back to normal. But all of a sudden, Speed, a.k.a. the super strong dinosaurs, with a bit of momentum coming out, they're going to take a nice 1,000 gold lead and about a 1,500 experience lead as they start to add more kills to the board. Looks like Tame My Wild could have a rotation coming his way. Disruptor going to start off with a bit of damage, and there's the glimpse back. Tame My Wild in big trouble. Waning Rift going to come out. That's going to be an easy kill. Puck going to finish him off with the Illusory Orb.
Those early glimpse levels, man, they're pretty darn strong. Just the 2 points in glimpse to get that to 1,000 instead of 600 cast range. If that was level 1 glimpse, no chance.
Yeah.
I love leveling glimpse so much on Disruptor. It's such a powerful and versatile skill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still, even though you know it's coming, it's still jarring. At first,
well, what are you going to do about it? Like,
yeah.
Even if you know it's coming, you're like, well, I guess I'm in range for a glimpse.
Yeah, exactly. It's scary. Even just like the camera, I'm just like, all right, why are you guys standing here? He's running away. Oh, right, the glimpse. Yes, okay, that is an easy kill. It's still just one of those abilities. Any of those relocate abilities are just a little bit jarring for the cameraman.
Bone 7 bottom.
Down in the bottom lane, indeed. Beaver Knight going to use the Rage, and Bone 7 will come down. Chakram doing a bit of damage. Shotshell going to be forced to walk through it. Love that positioning from Bone 7. That is going to be a dead Clockwork. Timbersaw going to finish him off as he Timber chains forward. And of course, while that's happening in the mid, a kill comes out onto the Invoker. Double damage Puck mixed with the potency of the Crystal Maiden makes for an easy kill on the Invoker. So all of a sudden, this Invoker went from 3-0-0 in the first 8 minutes to 3-2-2. Back-to-back deaths on him. They saw that Midas and said, we got to slow this guy down. Great rotations coming out, and now they have conquered this mid lane. Puck's starting to pull ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they did exactly what they needed to against that early of a Midas. They put a lot of pressure on. The Invoker, he even went Midas before boots, so he's just picked up his boots. So he was so vulnerable when he got his hands on that. And against this ganking power from SSD, he just faltered like crazy. I mean, they can take some of these tier 1s, they keep their ganks going, but I mean, do you think they just fall back, let Sing Sing farm up his armlet? Or do you think they try to put more pressure on? I would kind of be in favor of just letting the Lifestealer get some farm, because I don't think you need to be worried.
Uh-oh, Sunstrike gonna come in on to Come With Me. He's gonna take a good bit of damage here. Wow, look at that coordination coming out from RX. Very well done. You saw the poured in Sunstrike right on top of him. And they do get an easy kill. Of course, meanwhile in the mid, there is some more kill action coming about. Enigma will fall, but it is gonna cost him a Timbersaw. So RX picking up a little bit of momentum here as well. Now going to be 7-10 as we pass that 10-minute mark. But on the point that you were making, SSD at this point, they have a big enough lead that I think there's a lot of flexibility. 3,000 gold, somewhere about 3,000 experience. I think they can kind of do both. I think they can take a 4-man ball and start pressuring these tier 1 towers and just try and open up some more room for Sing Sing. Let him finish that armlet, which, oh, by the way, is done, sitting in the bank at home. So the Courier going to bring that over, and I think they can kind of get the best of both worlds as they've taken advantage of this laning phase. Still waiting on KSI here with this Enigma. He is finally level 6. He is still a little bit behind, but he's got that black hole ready and waiting for him to make it happen. He is going to go Power Treads first, which is a very atypical build for Enigma. Obviously feeling like he needs that extra bit of survivability, complements of that extra 8, presumably strength attribute. Usually Enigma, one of those heroes you see on the brown boots even into the late game. Once he gets that blink, doesn't really need the boot upgrade. So an interesting choice, sort of a good demonstration of how RX are feeling even in the early stage of this match, perhaps.
They definitely feel a little bit on the back foot. I would be worried if SSD started moving around as kind of a 4-ball, just because there's so many good ways for Relax to punish that. They have the Clockwork to disrupt them, and oh, Shotshell. Speaking of Clockwork.
Yep, going to make for an easy kill here as they have that delivery vehicle. Arise, though, going to take an odd position. Will fall, nowhere else for him to go. There's going to be a 1-for-1 Clockwork for Puck. Not the best exchange for SSD. Queen of Pain going to blink forward. Ult comes out from Disruptor straight away, and it might be enough to finish off Nexus. Down he goes, and now SSD going to be feeling pretty good in this fight. Sing Sing actually going to take a lot of damage here. He does have his armlet now, and Timbersaw is going to fall to the wrath of the Invoker, and uh-oh, Sing Sing might not be out of the clear quite yet. That Cold Snap doing a lot of damage. That armlet toggle, he's going to turn, and he's got Tame My Wild set in his sights. The Rage comes out. He's not going to have the damage. Oh, no, Tame My Wild going to walk away with about 20 hit points. A noble effort from Sing Sing, but in that case, the man-up not going to work for him. Invoker going to walk away with a triple kill. And all of a sudden, we've got an even net worth.
power of the Forge Spirits, man. Those things do much damage. You cannot underestimate them at all, especially when they've been chipping away at you for that amount of time and you've lost all that armor. It gets absolutely brutal to try and deal with those things. And that Invoker, I mean, despite the fact that he picked up a couple of deaths, is now just really showing just how far ahead he is. I mean, he's level 12, so he's ahead of the Timbersaw. He's 2 levels ahead of the Puck and the Lifestealer. What's he sitting at as far as net worth goes? He's only slightly at the top. I was kind of expecting him to be a little further up than that, but still at the top of the net worth chart, top of the levels, 7 and 2 with a Midas. He's got his 4 staff. This, I mean, I'm worried at least a little bit if I'm SSD, unless I can get another kill or 2 on him, because he can just burst people down so thoroughly. And if you combine that, you know, the Quap didn't even get her ult off in that fight. She got silenced too heavily. All she got off was a Blink Scream. Imagine if they actually get all of their spells off. They don't even have to be particularly good. Just hit like a couple of heroes with each of their big AoEs. That's a dangerous fight for SSD to engage into.
And come with me, gonna be in some trouble here in the jungle. Gonna be an easy kill. There's that Sunstrike Cogs combo we were talking about. And come with me, gonna get a first class ticket back to the grave. Invoker gonna add another one to the scoreboard there. 8 and 2 at this point. But you're right, now Tamai Wild has the Force Staff, so Invoker going to be even harder to lock down. Yeah, they are.
He backed up.
Perhaps for a setup here. Oh, yeah, those Forge Spirits, man, they hit for 74 apiece right now, and of course they do melt that armor. Wow. They're easy to underestimate, I feel like. Sort of like the Enigma Eidolons as well. They do a surprising amount of damage. We've seen a couple times where someone's tried to engage on an Enigma when he has 6 Eidolons up, and they just lay into you. And you can't underestimate the power of those minions, man.
There's some kind of math where generally I think the 4/4 minions, like the double minions, is more added teamfight DPS than like an 8/8 Alacrity until you hit a very, very high level of damage that the attack speed makes it worth it. It's ridiculous.
We are going to see an engage up here in the top lane. Alchemist going to get juiced as he stuns himself, it would appear. Maybe he got the stun off onto the Lifestealer, but it did tick down. Nowhere for him to go. It was a 5 versus 1. Poor Alchemist. I think he stunned himself right there. If you stun yourself, you're right next to an opponent.
Well, he died, and the stun blew up. And then it also stunned the Lifestealer. But you could see the little stun icon that was where he ended up, like right above his head. It was there.
Right, yeah. I saw it on the Lifestealer, so I was like, oh, that was kind of interesting. I don't think he got it off. Yeah, it's a weird ability, man. It's a weird one.
It's a really good ability.
It's a good one, but it's a weird one.
Oh, so much gold for that Bone 7. He just got an entire wave, 6 Eidolons as well as a creep wave.
Oh, come with me. Might survive the Sunstrike. Doesn't matter. Clockwork going to finish him off with a rocket. Poor Crystal Maiden. That is the second time in the past 2 minutes or so. Same exact setup. Shotchlo just picks him off solo. Not much a solo Crystal Maiden can do. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, Enigma is going to get caught. Dread now may be a target of choice. At the very tail end of it, Tamai Wild going to rotate up. There are 4 members of SSD up here, everyone except that Crystal Maiden. Not going to find it. Down bottom, though, it is going to cost SSD their Tier 1 tower. Arise, going to port in, does have the surprise inside. Illusory Orb over. There's the blink forward. Nexus going to take a lot of damage. Will have that blink cooldown, though. Not going to have enough mana for the Waning Rift on Puck. Oh, that's a heartbreaker. If he had the mana, that silence might have been enough to secure the kill, but just a couple of mana short, too.
Mechanism picked up on the Timbersaw and the Enigma, so we have even mech timings coming out. I was about to say maybe this is time for SSD to go take a fight, but now the Enigma picks his up as well, and I still think that Relax has the stronger team fight. They have very, very powerful abilities. Dread
going to overcommit just a little bit there. Support going to be inbound for SSD. Bone 7 going to survive with ease, and they will turn it around. But you're right, the equal mech timings is probably better news for RX. I would agree on that front. I think they have slightly better team fight, and if they shut this Invoker down, I still think SSD can make it happen. KSI going to get initiated on once again up here. Not going to have the damage to finish him off quite yet, as Invoker is nearby, starting to do some damage as well. Any thoughts about what this Invoker should transition into next? Is this just a fast sheepstick kind of game?
I would almost say fast Aghanims.
Yeah,
because he's doing so much of the work in this game that being able to rotate between all his spells as quickly as possible is going to be really, really vital. And especially because with the maxed Exort build, you're maxing out your damage potential with all your things, so you want to be able to rotate them as quickly as possible to get all your damage out as quickly as possible at the start of a fight.
Yeah, and you're right. I think Ags before Sheep does make a lot of sense here. Arise! Oh, these Sunstrikes. Tamai Wild has been on point. That is a dead puck.
You can't tame that wild, man.
You can't.
He's 9 and 2.
If you give him, it's really like any situation where he has vision on you and he knows where you're going to be. These Sunstrikes have just been spot on. It's been at least like half of his last hits, I think. Nexus in the mid did burn the ultimate onto the Disruptor, but neither of them going to be able to secure the kill as they do both head back to safety. Armlet has been complete on the Lifestealer. We saw that a while ago. Now going to have a Drum of Endurance. See what he wants to grab next. Only about 500 in the bank. Of course, that Midas advantage will help RX a little bit. Look at that gold graph, too. It's made quite the mountain. SSD, with a great early game, about a 3,000 gold lead, has now been completely squandered. RX going to grab themselves the gold lead and a huge experience lead as well, upwards of about 5,000 here at the 17-minute mark. Invoker still sitting 9-2-1. Very impressive showing thus far. Tearing up that net worth chart still, sitting about 8.6k, about 2k up on that Lifestealer.
In spite of the fact that they have a pretty solid lead right now and that the Invoker is doing so well, I'm still a little bit worried for Relax because I don't see a lot of potential in breaking the base anytime soon. And just most of their heroes are reasonably underfarmed. That Quap, who was given, you know, first position priority for them, is now sitting below the Lifestealer, the Timbersaw, and the Puck. In fact, the entire team of Relax is sitting below the Lifestealer, the Timber, and the Puck. So you can see that, well, there's that really good focused farm on the Invoker. SSD has actually a pretty decent spread. A lot of their heroes are they have a good amount of potential strength right now. And if they can execute well, get a couple of pickoffs, they could probably overtake the Invoker too. And just the Lifestealer in general, I think, will do a lot better in the late game than anything Relax has.
Yep, and here we go. Shotshell going to be in some trouble. Oh, the black hole won't be enough to save the Clockwork. Puck going to come in, and yeah, that Dream Coil going to interrupt it. That's going to be an easy 2-0. Now Invoker going to be in a little bit of trouble. He will get silenced. Compliments of that ultimate coming out from the Disruptor. There's the Glimpse back. He is going to burn a Sunstrike. Not going to be enough for a kill, and that will be a 3-0. A great team fight here for SSD. Come with me, taking a bit of damage from that Queen of Pain. The positive urn to counteract the negative urn will keep her alive, and yeah, Nexus going to be able to blink back to safety, but now SSD picking up some of that momentum once again here, and going to knock down that tier 1 tower as well. Tower count is going to be 3-2 in the favor of SSD. That is good news for them, and now Sing Sing nipping at the heels of Invoker on that net worth chart.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've said all they need is a couple kills, and that Invoker won't be so far ahead. They pulled it off. The Black Hole would have been really, really nice if it wasn't for the fact that the Puck blinked out just before it landed. He was also in radius, would have been a 3-man, but just the perfect timing on that Illusory Orb teleport, followed up by the Dream Coil to break it, and it ended up being, of course, as we saw, a wasted cooldown. So really well played right there by Arise to make sure that everything went swimmingly for his team, in spite of the fact that they were all clustered for that perfect hole.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, hook shot coming out from Shotshell, going to be off the mark. Crystal Maiden, man, she just can't catch a break in terms of this Clockwork. She's got 4 deaths, and I think at least 3 of them are the direct result of that Clockwork picking on her a little bit and trying to make it another there in the mid lane. Force Staff almost out for the Crystal Maiden. Enigma, as you mentioned, does have the mech working towards the BKB, does have that Ogre Club, but his farm's still pretty lackluster here. He's made a decent recovery. Sitting number 5 on the net. Oh, God, pardon me. I got a string of pickups there. Number 6 on the net worth chart, as Quap actually did just pass him. So, not the worst, but still not the best. Much slower than most Enigmas would be. Again, compliments of that early game. Any other big item pickups here? Invoker going to prove us both wrong.
Got his travel.
His next big item, yeah, going to be Boots of Travel first before the Ags, presumably his
and with
third
with
core.
that, I actually think he will go for the Scythe.
You think so? No.
Yeah,
Ags?
I think when you have the Boots of Travel and you have the ability to, you know, just be there with a Hex anywhere you need to be, I think it's more significant than having the Ags for the faster rotation in team fights.
I like the Sheep Stick a bit more, especially in this kind of a scenario as well.
It's more generally useful. I was just worried about the idea that if he didn't get the Aghanims, then he might end up... I mean, because he is their main damage source, if he can't rotate his spells fast enough, they could have some problems. But I don't know. I mean, also the fact that he's not leveling his ultimate kind of says that he's probably going to go something besides Aghanims.
What just happened to that Crystal Maiden? Did he scout that out with a Forged Spirit, then just connect with a Sunstrike while she was trying to kill the Spirit? That is Imba hacks. I didn't catch it, but I saw the Sunstrike. And, of course, in the mid lane, Shotshlow going to get picked off here. Another surprise inside delivery vehicle. Compliments of that Fairy Dragon. It makes for an easy kill, but poor Come With Me. This Crystal Maiden can't catch a break.
It's a mean combo, man. The Forge Spirits, because you know the Sunstrike has to be coming, but you don't know when.
Yeah.
And if he reads you right anyway, it's all on him to make a bad read, or you're just dead anyway.
Yeah. Up top, Nexus in big trouble. Oh, the kinetic field. What a play from Pylai Die right there. The Static Storm going to be enough to secure that kill. In the mid lane, though, Sing Sing, not out of the clear quite yet, is going to take an unstable concoction. Will wake up from his sleepy time nap. Going to try and head for the hills. Does have a rage coming as the Tornado trying to slow him down. Look at that armlet toggling. It looks like Sing Sing will survive. Now the rest of this fight going to start to transpire. Concoction going to be charged up. Dread now going to be silenced. He's going to be in big trouble. He does manage to get it off before he falls, but he does go down. Clockwork actually was able to pick off the Lifestealer as well. I imagine it was from a rocket. So Sing Sing almost making the great escape, but does fall in the end. It is going to be a 2-for-1 across the map. Queen of Pain and Alchemist in exchange for the Lifestealer.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, sure, you traded a 2-for-1, but you got that Lifestealer. Your Queen of Pain really isn't farming to the point where she's your hard carry. You're definitely relying on your Invoker to do most of your work right now. And so, while it's certainly a loss, obviously, to drop your Queen of Pain, I think getting the kill on the Lifestealer is more significant than the losses they incurred right there, quite frankly.
Yeah. Yep, would have been a lot better
Not that
if
they got anything off it, but
Lifestealer could have made it out. It was the great escape, that armlet toggling. Almost worked for him. But we will see RX move into the Roche pit here. Not going to be the fastest Roche. They do have a medallion on the Alchemist, but he is not with them quite yet. The Forged Spirits, not going to be quite as scary, but there's the medallion, and they will be able to finish off Roche now. Pretty darn quick. Went a little bit faster than I thought it might in my head, but great play from RX. Glancing at the gold graph, still pretty even. First Roche now at the 23-minute mark will give them a small edge. Aegis of the Immortal going the way of the Queen of Pain, who actually is close to a BKB as well. Does have the recipe as well as the Mithril.
Really big pickup on Clockwork is the Force Staff. If he can hook to the Lifestealer and get the cogs out and then just Force Staff himself out, the Lifestealer's just out of the fight for 8 seconds or until he can chew through those cogs. I've literally seen this completely cripple melee carries before.
Yeah.
It can be really, really bad. I mean, just the few seconds it takes them to chew through the cogs and get him back into the fight, you can already, Relax can already have just won by taking out a couple of heroes.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Puck again with the surprise inside. Timbersaw now going to have the Bloodstone. And there is a Force Staff on the Crystal Maiden. Was finally able to pick that up. And Invoker continuing to prove us wrong here. Is just going to go BKB next. So that'll be the first BKB out onto the field. And uh-oh, here's the initiation. Invoker actually going to be the one taking a lot of damage. Will be able to walk away. Going to burn that first 10-second BKB. And no kill is going to come out quite yet. KSI does not have a black hole. Another 30 seconds, so he is not going to bring too much to the table. Nexus taking a lot of damage. There's the kinetic field. Down he goes. That's the end of the Aegis. Sunstrike going to come. Will be off the mark. Will they have the silence to lock him down? Nexus going to get silenced right away. Well played from Arise with that waning rift, and they will finish him off. Now Shotchlow, maybe not out of the clear quite yet. Has already burned the hookshot as well as the Force Staff. Down he goes. Disruptor going to be able to finish him. And Tamai Wild now going to be kind of the lone defender about this tower as his teammates are not nearby. Alchemist is just doing Ancients. Dread says, guys, that's a bad idea. Let me farm. And,
I don't know what Nexus was thinking, man. Why was he in so far? Even with the Aegis, he was away from his team. They have a million silences on SSD. As long as they time them right, you're not blinking out of that. Oh, damn my wild. That was close.
Close call indeed. He will make it out, but this Tier 2 tower may not be so lucky up here.
Yeah, I mean, Speed Gaming, every time, even when Relax takes, you know, some sort of fight, even when they get something done, it just feels like they can't actually take any objectives. And then SSD just comes back and they kill 1 or 2 heroes and immediately take a tower. It's just this slow, gasping death, it feels like, for Relax and Tame My Wild.
KSI does have a black hole. He's going to burn it. Does CM have an interrupt here? He does not, but unfortunately the follow-up damage isn't going to be there. It will as the Clockwork joins the battle. Lifestealer not going to have a rage. Come With Me going to fall as Queen of Pain joins the party. Sonic Wave to finish her off. And Bones 7 just going to Timber Chain away. He will make the great escape, so maybe SSD lingering a little bit too long there, but I don't know. See, it's another one of these situations where KSI burned a black hole. Wasn't a bad black hole, but what's the follow-up? Now Relax are just going to go back to farming. That's a huge cooldown, and SSD will just pop right back up, and I think they could afford to just start pressuring these remaining Tier 2s, knowing full well that the black hole is down, and that really limits the amount of team fight that RX bring to the table. So that's part of the problem here. They can make these black holes, but what's the follow-up? They still have only taken down 2 towers, not going to grab any more kills. I don't know.
mean, you'd imagine they'd be able to do a little better with an Enigma and an Invoker to get the like the Forge Spirits and the Eidolons for some pushing, get a little extra pushing. Dread, oh Dread.
Limps. Nowhere for him to go right here. He is going to get healed up. Oh no, going to stun himself.
Still alive though.
Coil
That
comes
regen.
out. Yeah, that chemical rage. Wow. Dread's going to survive. I'm not sure that he should have been able to. They'll actually turn it around onto a rise. He's going to go down. Now, Pylai dying, maybe in some trouble. He'll use his Force Staff. Might not be enough to get rid of Shotchlo. Does have the glimpse. Oh, a nice kinetic field will be enough to keep him alive. The rocket. 18 hit points to spare. Pylai die makes it out. A close call indeed. Here we go. Bone 7. He's going to pour it in. He's got a life stealer hiding inside that little bubble of safety. And he is going to try and hop forward, looking for an initiation window. Needs to be a little careful, perhaps. Chakram, going to clip KSI and Tame My Wild. Cold Snap going to come out. Infest, not going to do too much damage. Invoker going to burn the BKB straight away. Shotchlo going to get stuck inside the cogs with Beaver Knight. Not what he was looking for there. Now they're going to press forward. Right now, Bone 7 has few fears. KSI going to have to about face. Not much else he can do. In comes Sing Sing. BKB is now going to be popped aplenty. Tame My Wilds is already down. But Timbersaw is going to fall. Now come with me. He's going to be in trouble. He's just going to get right-clicked down. All of a sudden, Dread starting to turn into a little bit more of a carry. Level 15 Alchemist. All he has is a BKB and a medallion, but we've seen it. The chemical rage enough to keep him alive, and he's starting to hurt with those right clicks a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things about the support Alchemist is just how easily he can transition into a carry if you want him to. And because he can go for those kind of vaguely, I mean, items that you can theoretically classify as support E items, but that are really kind of carry items, like between Medallion, if he goes for late game Assault Cuirass, things that will have a good effect for the rest of the team, so it's perfectly good if he's support, but that also help him in his own carrying endeavors. He can get away with a lot. I mean, the hero's really, really good. I would like to see him nerfed a little bit on that concoction, but as he is, you know.
Yeah. So things starting to look good for RX here. All of a sudden, a big swing of momentum, about a 3,000 gold lead and about a 7,500 experience lead. That is pretty significant here as we're about to approach that 20 or that 30-minute mark. And it looks like they might have a chance at taking this game. Invoker topping the net worth charts by a big margin and continuing to prove us wrong with these item choices. He's now going to grab a Blink to go with that BKB and Force Staff.
A lot of aggression, I guess. I would have, at this point, really liked to see the Hex, because I think getting a Hex off on the Lifestealer or maybe the Puck during a big team fight would be hugely key. But maybe he just wants to be mobile, man. He wants to get everywhere, wants to have the good initiation. And I think it's partially because he kind of has to do everything. So he needs the BKB so he doesn't die. He has the Force Staff. He wants the Force Staff and the Blink so he can get anywhere immediately so no one is ever without their Invoker. It's just a lot of pressure on Tame My Wild to make things happen. And, you know, the extra positioning will help him make the big plays. Now we just have to see if not having the Hex cripples them at all, if that costs them something serious in these fights.
Right, and it very well could, because this Lifestealer now has a Desolator to go with that Armlet and Drum of Endurance. So, needless to say, Sing Sing is really starting to hit hard. Puck going to grab his Scythe of Ice now, so that is more crowd control going the way of SSD. But look at RX. 4 BKBs at this point here. Everyone except Shotchlo is part of the BKB club. And kind of a power tread club as well. Invoker, the only one not to have power treads here in this game. Interesting item choices indeed.
It's like they have a disruptor or something.
Yeah. So,
you know, that hero that needs to farm an Aghanims or he's useless once you have BKBs?
Yeah, well, he's not very close to the Ags, but could be his next item. You never know. If this game goes on for another 30, 40 minutes, maybe he'll grab it. But yeah,
one can only hope.
CM
going for a Yules.
Huh, CM? Oh,
yeah,
look at that. Going for the Yules. Oh, we've got a 5-man smoke. Are you ready for this, Hippie? There's a 5-man train in the mid. Fortunately, they will smoke into the dire jungle, where they will find no one, as RX are grouped up about their secret shop. They have been clearing out Ancients here, watching Dread soak up the farm. He's now got himself a Hyperstone, so he's attacking faster, attacking harder, stronger than ever before. And this smoke going to be a wasted effort here from SSD. Very unfortunate. I like what they're going for, but a little bit of bad RNG. Not going to find RX. They're going to do kind of the same thing as well as RX do, smoke up in the bottom lane and now rotate into the Radiant jungle.
Yeah, I mean, so smoke's coming out from both teams. Both of them probably going to be wasted, although, oh, RX now has vision, though. There's a key difference. They know exactly where they are.
Yep, and uh-oh, I've got an item stuck on my mouse. I hope my Dota doesn't crash. Go away, Bracer.
Don't do it.
I didn't
You having that bug coming out again? It's an unfortunate bug.
It is unfortunate. Is there any way to make it go
Interestingly,
away?
I have no idea, but Relax decided instead of trying to get any sort of wraparound gank, they're just going to push bottom lane. The Invoker is going to TP back, but he's probably going to get gone on right here. Hexed up and going to get absolutely annihilated.
Yeah.
That was a questionable decision. I'm not sure it was worth that tower trade when you're losing the Invoker as well.
No,
He's by far your strongest hero.
And a dominating streak bounty as well. This is going to be interesting. It looks like we could see a tier 3 for tier 3 race, but it's a 5v4 on the field. Invoker is going to buy back. Lift going to come up from the Radiant side. Their tower taking a lot of damage. Looks like they are going to win this race. Tame My Wild going to be back. They might be able to force a dieback here. Nope, not going to commit for it. Down in the bottom, this tier 3 going to fall. So racks are exposed on both sides. Both glyphs are down. Come with me, the only defender. That is going to be the end of the melee racks in the Dire base. Come with me, looking like he's going to fall. They will port back. Their melee rack's going to go down as well. KSI going to blow the ultimate. That's the end of Disruptor, as well as Crystal Maiden. Invoker is going to fall, meanwhile, back in the base, but the defense of SSD going to get completely scraped up. That is going to be a free bottom lane of racks. Unfortunately, though, there's tier 2s standing in mid as well as top, so there's nowhere for RX to rotate to, and that will limit the amount of damage that they could do. If this mid lane was exposed, perhaps they could have grabbed 2 lanes of racks, but not going to be the case here. So all in all, a pretty even exchange. RX do get the better of it. They finish off the ranged racks, and of course they rack up a few more kills as well. Though Invoker did buy back and then die, so it's sort of almost a wash, I think you could say. Slightly in favor of RX, but
slightly in favor of RX. You get the tactical advantage of having that full lane of racks down, but since it's just a ranged racks anyway with no regen, funnily enough, if you click on it, it actually says negative 0.1 regen, even though it doesn't actually happen. That would be kind of funny. Ranged racks just degenerates over time. But so it'll go down sooner or later. Ooh, hook shot.
Onto the puck, and of course they know that Roshan is under attempt. Are they going to get in for the Aegis steal? No, he is going to try and clear up some creeps at least. Now this fight going to start to come out. Dreg going to be in some trouble. Nexus going to get crowd controlled, and they might be able to finish off the Alchemist. Indeed, he has gone down. Now Nexus taking some damage, going to be stuck inside that kinetic field. He'll fall. That'll burn the Aegis. Invoker still dead from that dieback before. Right into the silence, but Nexus will pop the BKB, going to port to the high ground, going to survive. All the while in the mid lane, Clockwork falls as Timbersaw chases him down. There is a gem that has fallen, so they will grab the Dire's gem, which is big news. And Dread actually has an Assault Cuirass as well. So let's look at the buyback situation here. Clockwork not going to have... Well, he is going to burn it right there. I saw the cooldown straight away, so he's going to burn his buyback right away. And Alchemist does not have one available. So this will be a 5v4 here on the field, but Crystal Maiden basically out of commission as she's so weak. That will be the end of the ranged racks in the mid lane, so that will level it out. 1 lane of racks per each team, and it looks like SSD considering rotating to the top. Hook shot out of the base onto Disruptor, but he'll get sheep straight away. Shotchlo got to be regretting that choice. That's going to be a free kill coming the way of SSD, and I don't think they're going to press their luck here. I think they may just back out. Assault Cuirass now picked up on the Lifestealer as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's so iffy going in like that right there. I know they definitely wanted to take that top lane of racks. I mean, who wouldn't? But you had to be worried. The Invoker is back up. You only took that last fight so easily because there was no Invoker. And then with the Alchemist also coming back up, the Relax's AC coming back into play, I think the right choice was definitely to back off right there.
Yep.
But
no, I agree.
I don't think it's the choice I would have made in game. I would have gotten really greedy, but I think it was the right one.
Yeah. No reason to press your luck here. And I think something in this game that's going to end up being interesting is the BKB durations. I think that's really going to hurt RX. Once they get these BKBs down to 4 or 5 seconds, we see Invoker is on 6 seconds, Queen of Pain sitting on 7, the Alchemist down to 8, and Enigma, where are you at, buddy, down to 9. So still doing okay with those BKB times, but once everyone gets closer to that 4 or 5 seconds, that's when things get a little bit more difficult, as BKBs are sort of a staple of their team in this particular matchup. So we'll see. Looks like SSD do want to keep the momentum on. This graph is all over the place. This has been one hell of a back and forth game here, Hippie. Both teams have been pretty eager to kind of commit to things, and seeing different lanes of racks down on both sides always makes for kind of an interesting match here as we're starting to approach the late game at the 35-minute mark.
Yeah, they've been kind of just throwing bodies at each other for quite a while
Yeah.
now. This is,
Oh.
ooh, the blinking. Oh, they didn't get him.
He's gonna port out.
Got out just in time. And they have ports available? All right, yeah, Tamer Wild's port is available. Next's port is available. They can both back up if they need to.
Yep. Boots of Travel will become another necessary choice in this game, no doubt. Only 2 on the field right now, but Timbersaw has picked up a pair for the Radiant team. So that is good news. He'll be a little bit more mobile. Also a Blink Dagger now out on the Timbersaw. That Yule's was completed by the Crystal Maiden, so more mobility choices. Blink on the Timbersaw is not an item we see too frequently, but of course does synergize well with all of his mobility. Now going to have an ultimate orb, so, well, may just be moving towards a sheepstick of his own.
One can only hope. I think sheepsticks are going to become the thing, especially as soon as these BKBs wear down. Get that Invoker focus down, get that that Alchemist focus down, and you're done. I mean, who else is going to do anything on that team?
Yeah, but SSD, they're posturing like they want to pressure this top lane, but someone's going to have to go back to defend. There is a huge wave of creeps pressing into their base. Compliments of these Invoker Forged Spirits. They're just helping push that lane. And it will be Timbersaw chosen to port back. He's going to soak up that little bit of farm. But both teams have the same sort of idea, pressuring these lanes. Looking for a team fight. KSI does have a black hole available, about 2,500 gold in the bank. So RX pretty well suited to take a fight here if they're so interested.
This game has really slowed down quite a lot. We had so much action for the entire start, but now, I mean, they're at the point. Any team fight can be the end. Both of them know that there's one Rax down, another Rax down. Very, very difficult to come back from. Yeah. I do find it amusing that the top tier 1 is still up on the side of SSD. They've never been able to pressure that.
Yeah. It's true, and as we saw in that last team fight, uh-oh, hold that thought, Tame My Wild gonna get caught here, Sheepstick gonna be used, one more attack, that's gonna be it, and this could be huge for SSD with that Invoker
He's got
Jet. Buyback, he does have it available, so that's not the end of the world, but Black Hole gonna be used for a solo life stealer here. They will secure the kill, not a bad idea, could be a kill on the puck as well. Is he gonna be able to get the blink? Nope, sorry, Arise, not gonna survive that one. So not a bad Black Hole, but again, the point that I made before, now SSD will feel a little bit more safe trying to take a team fight in the next 2 or 3 minutes here, knowing that that Black Hole is down. Invoker did buy back, and I think that puts a little pressure on RX here to try and make something happen. Though SSD, with a risky idea, they want to pressure this tier 3 up top. And I don't know if that's really a smart idea. They will back out and just go back to farming in the dire jungle.
Yeah, they've got the buybacks on both the puck and the life stealers. They can defend if they need to, but neither of them have TP boots. They're unable to get in and try and help posture aggressively. So I do think, like you mentioned, retreating is definitely the right move. 2 Sheepsticks going to be picked up, 1 on each side. The Timbersaw going to grab his, and the Queen of Pain going to grab hers. Just items staying so even. The graph is still pretty even. There's only 1,000 gold lead for Relax and barely any experience lead. It's ridiculous how tight this game is right now.
Yeah.
You know, there's been so many times when I've thought to myself, oh, you know, all right, this is it. This is good. It's going to swing the scales one way or the other. Yeah. And I'm just, wow.
Yep, I definitely agree. It's amazing here at the 40-minute mark. 1,000 gold difference is pretty darn negligible. And that sort of explains why both these teams went from super aggressive now to pretty much super passive, because we're at that point at the 40-minute mark where one failed team fight will pretty much seal the deal for the opposition. So both teams are being a little bit more cautious, waiting for the other team to make that fatal misstep that they can capitalize on, rather than being the team to press too far forward themselves. And in the meantime, everyone just continuing to farm up. I think in that last exchange, even though it was a 1-for-2, Invoker buying back and then nothing else really coming out of it, did give SSD at least close to a break even there in that engage. That is going to slow down the item progression for Tame My Wild here. If we look in that inventory, it looks pretty similar. Force Staff, Blink, BKB, Midas. Nothing too different there. Of course, the BOTs. Up top, Shotchlow. Gonna get Sheep. He's gonna take a fair bit of damage here. The kinetic field comes out. Looks like we could see a fight erupt. Nexus going to get sheeped as well, taking a lot of damage. BKB going to be popped by the Alchemist. Nexus going to get his BKB off as well. Lifestealer did manage to finish off the Enigma. Now Dread going to go down. That will be a 2-for-0. Invoker going to come in with a fair bit of damage. A nice combo there with the Meteor Deafening Blast. He will get glimpsed backwards. Not going to be able to finish off Pylai Die. Now he's going to be forced to burn that BKB defensively. Going to force staff down to the low ground. Will port out and does survive. So right there, RX were able to mitigate their losses because of the BKBs, but those were all defensive BKB pops, and that's generally not the way you want to use those precious Black King bar seconds, as now they are one step closer to having those very short durations of immunity.
They'll have the black hole for this defense, though, which is absolutely huge. It's going to be up in 5 seconds. If he needs to buy back 15 seconds early, he can.
Yep, absolutely. And Alchemist does as well. So they are in okay shape here. You're absolutely right. But the aggressive hop forward from Bone 7 to try and initiate. They will find Nexus. Going to get the sheepstick off before he can BKB. Cogs come in. Not going to do any favors for Nexus. And he will fall. Clockwork now going to go down as well. Tame My Wild in big trouble. Doesn't have that BKB up. So Enigma is finally up, but it doesn't matter. They've already lost all their cores. Big misplays from RX. They needed to just mitigate their losses a bit more effectively. Solo Black Hole going to come out. Not what KSI was looking for. Now he's going to fall, and it looks like SSD will be able to seal the deal here. Buyback coming from the Enigma, but what's he going to do? He doesn't have a Black Hole. Dread, same story, different chapter. Doesn't have a BKB. Not much can be done at this point besides watch your racks fall, and I think a GG well played will be coming out from RX here in just a moment.
Yeah, I don't see anything else that Reliance can do to get back in with their 60-second dead Invoker. It was really impressive to me, though, how long Tame My Wild managed to just kind of keep his team in the game in spite of everything, because from the very beginning, he was the one who was ahead, and it got to the point where if he wasn't around, they just couldn't do anything, but he managed to make so many big plays, get so many kills, and do so much work. Really showed the power of the sometime forgotten Invoker.
Yeah, sometimes forgotten Invoker, a good way to put it. A really interesting game. I thought SSD was going to be able to run away with it a couple of times, and at the end, RX could have made that hold. All they needed to do was wait for the Enigma. They got a little bit too aggressive where, okay, we really want to keep our racks alive, but it would have been so worth that extra 5 seconds for Enigma to get up, or like it seemed like there was a lack of communication where Enigma was going to buy back, and then they could have gone in that way, or they needed to wait another 5 seconds for Enigma to pop back up, and that was a potential for a huge black hole, but it was just Enigma and Alchemist. It's like, well, now what? Even if you land the perfect 5-man black hole, the damage isn't going to be there to make it happen. And, well, that's all she wrote. It was enough to seal the deal. So an interesting game. We do have 2 more coming your way, folks, and we're still about on schedule. Next match coming up is going to be SSD versus Alliance. And if it's going to be the same stand-in, should be another interesting match. The lobby's already hosted, so we're going to hop on into it. Thank you for joining us here on Beyond the Summit. I am Zyori. With me today is Hippie. And we've got plenty more Dota coming your way after this short break.